Hi friends, welcome back to Common the Cast Homeschool. Welcome from snowy Washington State. We finally got the snow that we've been waiting for. It took till the end of January, which is not as common. Usually we get some snow in November or December, but I guess all of you down south took our snow for a bit there, but we did get some snow and we have been surrounded by school districts that have been taking snow days. And we have just been chugging along because, as you know, I'm going to be taking a trip with my daughter to Taiwan in March for 3 weeks. So we're trying to get a head start on that. I'm also trying to get a head start on my videos. So you'll be seeing this. There'll be a little bit of lag time when you see this, probably no more than 2 weeks. But when you are seeing this, we will be just about finishing our term 2 out of 3. I like to split my school year into 3 terms. I don't know why, 11 weeks, 12 weeks. That's usually how long a term is. And I just feel like that is a good schedule for me to update you on various aspects of our homeschool without being too much, but also still checking in and giving some new information on how things are working for us. So today's video, I'm going to be covering our family subjects. So these are the subjects that I do with all 4 of my kids. With one exception. I'll let you know about that when I get there. But these are the things that we do together on the 3 days that I am home with all of my kids. I also do my morning basket on these days as well. So if you want to see what I have in my morning basket right now, you'll want to go watch my last video. And if you want to see what I'm doing with my 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grader more individually at their own levels, then you'll want to continue watching this series. So the next few videos will be covering those parts of our homeschool. So before I get into this, I do want to explain to anyone who might be new on how group subjects work in our homeschool. I think I have 5 different subjects to show you right now, maybe 6. Yeah, maybe 6 subjects to show you. And the first one isn't really included in this loop. The first one is something that we're doing every single time that we are together. However, the next 5 I put on a loop. So I have a little checklist like this. And what I do is towards the middle of the school year, I will readjust this. At the beginning of the school year, I will kind of make a list like this. And then towards the middle of the year, I will also check and see how we're doing. If we need to speed up on some, if we need to slow down on some. I just kind of make a goal for where I want to be finishing our school year. And so I make a rotation that is not necessarily 1-to-1. So it just depends on how many lessons are left and what I'm trying to finish for the school year. So right now my loop is origins. I'll let you know what that is in a minute. Health, geography, origins, health, geography. So as you can see, I'm trying to do those 3 the most. Music, origins, health, geography, origins, health, geography, music, and then art. So that means I don't have as many art lessons, so that is coming in every so often. I'm not doing music quite as often as the other 3, but I'm trying to be consistent with the origins, health, and geography. And what I do is each day that we do have group time, I will do 2 of these subjects. So even though I have 5 or 6 things to show you here, we're only doing about 20-minute sessions of about 2 of them. And then I check it off as we go down the list so I know what I am scheduled to do next. Okay, so the first one is one that I'm only doing with my 6th, 7th, and 9th grader. My 8th grader, she is taking Mandarin Chinese, so she does not join us for this. It was optional for her, and she chose to opt out. But we have been, since the beginning of last school year, working through, this is Spanish, Beginning Spanish for Families by Master Book Academy. It is an online video program. I think there are around 75, maybe 73 lessons with a teacher who's very energetic. It has been a lot of fun. She does have some really fun videos. The videos are about 15 to 20 minutes in length. And then it also comes with a huge amount of PDFs. So there are teacher guide pages, and then there's also PDFs for the kids to fill out. And so this is my teacher book, so nothing's filled out here. But this booklet here is the second half. So this is the half that we have been tackling this year. And there was a whole another batch about this big for last year. And so we have been having fun doing this course. we have till the end of next week with this course. So we are going to get to maybe lesson 63. So we might be off by 10 videos, which is very sad, but I didn't want to rush through this. And so at the very beginning, especially, I took multiple days to review and refresh the videos. I didn't plow through really quickly. And so now we're not going to be able to finish all the videos. So that is one con, I would say, for families that like to go slow like we do. I really wish they would give us 2 full years to be able to complete the program, but they only gave us a year and a half. So that is something I put in my recommendations when they had reviews. I would really like to be able to have access to this for 2 years so that we could actually finish it with my family. But I think it is intended to be a year course and they give you 18 months. So they feel like that's generous. But if you're around here, and as you will see as I talk about my curriculum, you will see how long that we spend on certain curriculums, because we don't like to just rush through things. We like to do a large variety of things and go through things pretty slowly. So that is one thing I did not like about this. However, overall, this has been a great course and I do recommend it. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get anything to tell you that, but I do recommend this. She does speak a lot in Spanish. She does speak a bit in English, but she does explain a lot of things in Spanish. So it's sort of an immersion type of experience. But me and my kids have really enjoyed this curriculum. So you won't be hearing about this anymore, except maybe at the end of the year. We're going to be finishing that up next week. So next thing I'm going to talk about is what I replaced our elections unit with. So at the beginning of the year, we started with an elections unit based on the year and what was happening. And I was saving this for when that elections unit is over. And so we just started this maybe last week. So we are going through Evolution, the Grand Experiment Volume 1. Now this is really good timing for this because in our morning basket, we also have quite a bit of things that are talking about creation and evolution and different theories. And so it's really a perfect time. I feel like my kids are very ready to hear this and understand this at this point. So 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, I think it's a great time to tackle this. And so I've always intended on sharing evolution and creationism and then the different viewpoints with my kids, so that they know that different Christians have different ideas about it and that we can be Christians and not always believe in the exact same thing. We know that God is the creator. He created everything and it is up to him on how he wanted to do that. So I have 2 DVD videos that I'm using alongside of this. Now, this does have a video that you can purchase on streaming. I'm not sure if I'm going to get that or not. I think I'll consider it as we go through and finish up this. It's like a textbook. However, even though it's a textbook, the pages are not super dense. Like today we read 10 pages or so, and that is not a normal amount for us. We're normally a 4-page family. So some of them are just like this. So they aren't like super dense. Some have more words than others. I'm hoping we can get through this school year. If not, you know, I don't mind continuing things the next school year. So I feel like it's going to give a good, well-rounded view of different opinions. So far, we read the first chapter today, and so far I am liking this book. I think there are 6 parts to this series, but he does say that if you can get through the first one, that is a good foundation for your kids to have if they're entering college. But if you want to go deeper, he has written more books. Okay, so I said I have these 2 DVDs to go along with it. This is Unlocking the Mysteries of Life. I believe I picked this up at a local consignment store. When I saw it, I knew that we'd be studying this and it looked like it would go well with what we were studying. So I decided to watch this first and then get into this textbook. And I'm really glad I did. This talked a lot about intelligent design and how many scientists who believed in evolution started to look deeper and found that they believe now that there is some kind of intelligent design behind even the smallest, because even the smallest things have these like mechanisms that are just incredible, and it would be really hard for all of these things to somehow evolve at the exact same time. So this was a really great intro to the subject. And then this one here is the one that came with this book in our Sunlight Science G. And so my oldest daughter, she did Sunlight Science G last year, and I didn't have her do this section. So I had her do 2/3 of it, but I wanted to save this section for us to do together as a family. And so that's why I'm doing that with my kids right now. But I am saving this one. This is the one that comes with Sunlight Science G. I'm saving this video for our conclusion of our study on evolution, creationism, and all those different concepts. So that is something new in our family subjects. Our next subject is geography, and I feel like I'm just going to keep doing geography all the time. I don't think we have had a year of homeschooling that we haven't done geography. This is our 5th year of homeschooling. Our first 2 years, we were going through Exploring Countries and Cultures by My Father's World. I borrowed that set from a good friend of mine, and she let me use it over 2 years. And so we did that over 2 years. And then after that, I picked up Guest Hollow's High School Geography and Cultures. Even though none of my kids were in high school, we started going through this 3 years ago. So we spent the first year going over sort of the basics of geology, like physical geology, and I think we covered North America. So Canada, the United States, Greenland, and then that's how far we got that year. And then the next year we started tackling we got into Asia. We mostly did Asia the next year. This year we started out Southeast Asia, so that was the very last category of Asia, and we have been doing Africa for all of the other time of this year, and we are soon to be entering Australia and New Zealand, and so I'm trying to get to that, so I'm trying to do geography a little more frequently because we've been in Africa a really long time. So that is next. We're going to be doing Australia and New Zealand, but that leaves, we have not done Europe, and we have not done South America. So I think that next year we are going to continue with Guest Hollow's High School Geography for our 4th year. And hopefully we can get through Europe and South America. We don't do this a whole lot. I would say we do about 1 or 2 lessons a week. So it does take quite a while to get through. But I do really like to be learning about other countries and cultures. And as you can see, that is obviously high priority in our home since we haven't stopped doing that in our 5 years of homeschooling, and I still plan on doing it next year. So just to let you know where we are with this, I do want to say that last year we were also focusing on Sunlight F, and so we didn't finish Sunlight F. Sunlight F is a focus on the Eastern Hemisphere, and so I kind of mush this together with Sunlight F. This is what I do for our group times when we are going through group subjects. I'm going to show you some of the resources that I use to read to my kids about each of the areas that we are studying. And then Sunlight F, I usually use their readers and their novels and things like that to have my kids reading about it, or we do some read alouds together about different countries and cultures. So first of all, before I go into Guest Hollow resources, I want to talk a little bit about the pile of books that I have on hand here about Africa that we have read and just give you my opinion of them. I do have a whole video on resources to use for Africa, so novel, chapter books, informational books, picture books. I will link that video below if you want to get some more ideas, but I'm just going to go through this pile of books that I could find that I know that we did use or were part of a recommendation from Sunlight F. Okay, so first thing, we have The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. I've talked about this. I read this with my boys, actually more for their physics, so Guest Hollow's Actions and Reactions, so more of a physics concept, but this would definitely fit in with an Africa unit. We really enjoyed this. It was really great. I would say boys and girls alike, but especially boys because it is a boy main character, but this was really great. This is the Young Readers Edition, and then we did watch the movie as well. So highly recommend this book and this version of the book. This was a lot of fun. I also read Mary Slessor. Actually, we did this in the car as an audiobook. And my middle daughter, who's in 8th grade, she's not in the van with us while we're driving. So she's going to be listening to this soon when she can get it from the library. But I really enjoyed this one, Missionary Story to Calabar, which I believe is sort of, not sure, in the Niger area maybe, about that area of Africa. That was really, really good. Here's a book that is a Book Shark F recommendation that we didn't end up reading, but that is an example of something you could. We chose some other books, so we just didn't get to this one. I have Listening for Lions. This is a Sunlight F recommendation. This is about a missionary girl, and I think her parents pass away, and then she goes and lives with an aunt and uncle or something. I haven't read this myself, but my girls, I think both of my girls have read this book. We have A Girl Named Disaster. 2 or 3 of my kids read this as readers, so I don't exactly know what it's about, but I had 2 or 3 of them read that one. So this one, Peace Child by Dawn Richardson. This was one that we have not read yet. I think I'm going to get the audiobook for it, so I'm sort of waiting for us to get that and waiting for time to be able to listen to this. This is a book that I know I read myself as a teenager. I think it was one of the books that my parents had in their collection. I grew up as a missionary kid in Taiwan, and so my parents had a lot of books, but that is what we had. We had the books that my parents had, and so I read a lot of the books that they had. And so I think this is one that they had. I have a vague recollection about what it is about. I believe that there's like cannibalism and stuff in there. It is about missionaries going to some tribes, and I know there's cannibalism in there, so I would not recommend this for young children, but I do think that my kids are ready for this. We've done a lot of different missionary stories, and they know that not everything is peaches and roses and all that. So I am looking forward to doing this with my kids. And then I mentioned this in our read-alouds in the last video that I did. It's Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. I mentioned that this was recommended from Guest Hollow for a high school, and my kids are mostly middle school. And so I think that's where the disconnect was. I enjoyed it, and there's good information about South Africa. I feel like I got a really good feel of what South Africa was like before apartheid. And I think that my kids did learn some things, but there are some things that I didn't really enjoy reading to especially my 12-year-old boys, sort of some things that he did that were definitely not legal. So I would not recommend this for middle schoolers, and I would recommend that you pre-read this before you hand it to your kids, just to make sure that you're okay with what is in here. I would say for upper high school, I wouldn't have a problem with this, but just the age range that I was reading to, it was not my favorite, but we did learn some stuff and we read through the whole thing. A few other books that either I couldn't find or I've returned that you could read for Africa is The Red Pencil, that is in verse, so that's written a little bit differently. We have Journey to Joburg. That's a very tiny book about a boy and his sister, and their mom works far away, and I think their baby sister's sick, so they have to make a journey to Johannesburg to find their mom. We have A Long Walk to Water. That was an excellent book about Southern Sudan, and we did that on audiobook in the car, and we absolutely loved that one. My kids just, like, every time it ended and we had to go into the house, they were like, oh, cliffhanger. So that was a really good book. And it's not a super long book. It's a very thin book, but that's definitely an excellent book. I do recommend that. Had some hard themes in it as well. I would say upper middle school for that book. And then there was like King of the Wind. So that is about a horse. I don't know too much about that book, but some of my kids read that one. So those are some books that my kids have read or listened to, we've done in the car, things like that, or plan on listening to in the future. Okay, so I want to do this quickly because I've shown you these resources many times if you've been around. These are the main resources that I use when we're doing Guest Hollow's geography. The books that I picked for these, if they had a younger kid version and an older kid option, I picked the younger kid option because my kids were all in middle school when we first started. We have People and Places, a visual encyclopedia. We have A World of Wildlife, and I think the one they recommend was Wildlife of the World, but I feel like this is the exact same thing, maybe just a different publishing or something, but I do feel like it's the exact same thing. Beautiful animal book. We have Material World. We have the Where on Earth Atlas. We have Prisoners of Geography. This is the younger version. There is another book that is the older kid version. And we have Hungry Planet. So those are books that I will read 2 or 3 of those books every time we do geography based on the country and the things that we're in. And Guest Hollow has that all scheduled out in their guide. So our next group subject is Guest Hollow's Junior Anatomy. We are in our 3rd year of this as well. And there is a reason for that. I was planning on finishing this up last year, but then I learned that my parent partnership program insists that we do health every single year. And I didn't want to do something arbitrary. And so what I did was I just saved some of this for this year so that I could continue to do that with my kids this year because I didn't want to rush through the rest of this course. We have finished up studying about skin, and we have moved into germs and into infectious diseases. And right now we're sort of in that infectious diseases area, which is kind of interesting to me. Because of that, I mentioned this in my last video, we are reading Fever 1793 about the Spanish flu. It's based on a girl who, her mom and grandpa own a coffee house in Philadelphia during the time of the Spanish flu. I do remember listening to this and knowing that I did want to do this with my kids sometime. So this is just one that I have included myself based on what I knew. So I have added that into our current study of health as our read aloud right now. I would say the 2 spines of this course are Blood and Guts and then the body book. And so this is just models, paper models of different things. It's a fun way to add some hands-on things. It's not always super clear on how to create the models, but my 8th grader is actually really good at figuring that out. So I'll just sometimes when I don't know what to do, I'll hand it to her and she'll make the model and then she can show us how to make the model. And then Blood and Guts just goes through all the different parts of the body and stuff like that. So pretty common book for anatomy. And some books that Guest Hollow recommends to go along with that. We have Help, What's Eating My Flesh. This is one I just stuck in my morning basket. My youngest son is very into stuff like this, so he just picks this up and reads it himself. It's not something I wanted to spend a lot of time reading. We did read Pasteur's Fight Against Microbes. This is a very simple book. It probably took us two times to read. You could read through it in one session as well, just depending how old your kids are. So basic introduction to Louis Pasteur. I did read this one to my kids, even though it took us a little while. This is Achoo, the most interesting book you'll ever read about germs. So I would say this was our main book that we were using while we were learning about germs. It just has a lot of different facts about diseases and germs and things like that. So that book was a very enjoyable book that I did with my kids. We have Science Comic Plagues. This one I tried to read to my kids and I gave up because comic book is just hard to read to my kids. So I just stuck it in a basket and any kid who wanted to read it could read it. So that was just sort of a resource that was available for them if they wanted to read it. This one here, Outbreak, Plagues That Changed History. This one looks very interesting, but with the amount of words, I decided I wasn't going to read it out loud. So that's another one I just put in a basket and my kids can pick up and read if they want to read that one. So the one that I did end up reading, or I am reading with my kids right now, because I liked the way it was written and it has been really enjoyable to read, is The Invincible Microbe, Tuberculosis, and the Never-Ending Search for a Cure. So this is definitely an information book, but it's definitely written in more of a living book type of style, so through story. This is going to take us quite some time. I can read about 4 to 6 pages at a time. So you see all these stickies? Each of these stickies is a day of reading for me. So this is going to be taking us quite a while. We'll just take our time with this and read through this slowly. And then what we're doing alongside with that is we are doing this. So this is the Magic School Bus, The World of Germs Science Kit. And this comes with a guide. So it has a guide for different experiments. It has a bunch of things, and not everything is in here. It has Petri dishes as well. I did have to buy some agar in order to do the experiments, which I did not know about until it was too late and we were trying to do experiments, and the experiments were not going to work without this. So I had to kind of do a recipe and put some agar like solution inside of the Petri dishes. If you've done science, you might know what I'm talking about. I had no idea. I haven't done a lot of science in my growing up years. So we have little Petri dishes, and so far we have done 3 experiments, or we're working on 3 experiments. So one of them is, we have a side A and a side B, and my son kind of touched it with his hand before washing it. So he put his fingerprints or finger swipe on one side, and then on side B, he went and washed his hands and did the same thing. So we're gonna see if there's bacteria growing. They say wait 11 days, so over 11 days, see if there's bacteria growing on side A versus side B. Another one was the inside of your cheek. So I took a swab on the inside of my cheek and put it on A, and then on side B, we put toothpaste. And then the next one is just put a bunch of yogurt. So a little bit of yogurt all over it to see if any cultures grow from that. So Guess Hollow has this scheduled out, different experiments. And then in here it tells you what to do. There are about 17 pages, so I'm not sure how many, maybe half of that, maybe 8 experiments in here. And so that came in this set here. And I didn't mention, I will list everything in the description box below so that if you're looking for anything, you will have a link for that. I'll stick that below. So that is what we are doing for health right now. All right, next I have music. We are working on living harmonies. This is something I started around this time last school year. We will either finish it this year. I think we can if we want to finish it this year. If I don't want to finish this year, because I want to save some of the music for when we go to Europe and South Africa, then we won't finish it this year. But I think I could finish this year if I wanted. I have been saving different sections for when we learn about different parts of the world. Recently, we have just finished, was Tarab, and now we are going into Appalachian music. And I think what we have left in here is musical theater. So I'll probably go ahead and do that since that is more American culture. We have cumbia, so that's from Colombia, and then Scandinavian folk. So possibly I might save those last 2 for next year. Probably I will, because there's always more lessons than I have days in a school year. So I might just try to finish the Appalachian music that I'm doing right now and then do musical theater. And then I might be saving the last 2 sections for the following year. Each section is about 3 to 4 lessons. So we do this once a week or once every 2 weeks, I would say. And just a little bit about this. It comes with a teacher's guide. So this is the teacher's guide. And so what I do is I read out of this teacher's guide, and it does have on the computer, it has internet linked music. So we listen to the internet linked music, and then each little section, so usually 2 pages long, there is a page for the kids to fill out on the music, talking about what's your favorite instrument, what did you notice about this music, how does this music flow, things like that. And so that's been a really fun music program. I have enjoyed it. This is volume 1. They have come out with volume 2 recently. I will link them below. I don't get anything to talk about. This is Thistles and Biscuits, not an affiliate, but we have been enjoying it. I probably won't pick up volume 2 just because of how long things take for us, but it was good. We did enjoy it. It has been a fun, different sort of curriculum to be doing. The final subject that we have been doing is art history. I will call it art history because we don't actually do any art in this. So this is High Gatsby. This is the Renaissance period. It is intended for grades 1 through 8. If you want a more complete look inside flip through of this, I do have a video. I will link that below. So if you want to take a look at that. But we have been doing this probably every 2 to 3 weeks. There are 12 video lessons, and then it has this teacher guide, or it has these PDF files, and they have all sorts of things in here. Like you can do drawing and painting and coloring if you are more organized than I am. There's writing activities, science activities, geography, history. There's vocabulary. There's comprehension questions. We generally just watch the videos. And in the videos, I'd say they're about 20 minutes long. Teacher Beth, she talks about the background of certain artists. So in here we are learning about Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael, sort of their history, their backgrounds, the world around them at the time, sort of what led them to be doing art the way that they did. She teaches different aspects of art, so how to look at paintings and how to notice things. And so we have really enjoyed the videos, and generally that is all that we do. We watch the video and we might discuss it a little bit, and that is all we do. So there are 12 video lessons, and we are just doing it every, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks. We just do a lesson in that. So those are our family subjects right now. It's a big variety. There's quite a few different things, but we really like variety. We are very structured. Our schedule is very structured. I mean, there's flexibility within our schedule, and it's very structured, but we also do a lot of a variety of things within that structure. And that's sort of how we like to homeschool around here. So that is everything. I hope that was helpful or give you some good ideas on what you may or may not want to try with your family. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. I would love to have a chat. Thanks so much for coming today. Don't forget to come back for my 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders independent work and how that is going. I'll see you in a future video. Bye, everyone.